Good morning and welcome everyone to the Canadian Science and Policy Conference for 2018. I'm joined today by Dr. Serge Marchand from the Fonds de Recherche de Québec. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
I guess we'll start off with, if you could tell us a little bit of background about La Fonds de Recherche de Québec and what makes your position unique. What are some of the major challenges you face in your position?
I'm a scientist, then I'm a neuroscientist. As a matter of fact, I was working in pain. This is my field of research, pain. And I took this position as scientific director of the Health Research Fund, Fonds de Recherche en Santé du Québec, a year ago, a little more than a year ago. The reason is, as scientists, we look at the grant agency, we say, it's difficult, it's hard to get the money, and for a scientist, it's a lot of trouble and everything. And then sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to take the wheel, and I'm going to try to see how I can, help, the researchers to get the money they need, and also to organize it in a way that I think is good. And so far, it's quite interesting to work with my colleagues, the other scientific director.
Very interesting. So what do you see as kind of the major challenges then moving forward, and what's kind of your interactive daily challenges?
I think science is changing. I mean, during this meeting we were talking about citizen implication in research, and in my field it's health, patient implication, for example. When I started to do clinical research with patients, it was quite easy. I mean, we will just ask the patient to come, take the data, say thank you, and then after that analyze the data and publish. And now we're thinking a little more that the patient have to be at the beginning of the research, and they have to tell you what's the problem. Then we think we know what's the good question, but in fact, now we have to listen to what's happening, and I think it's great. I mean, we've done it before, but now it's a little more organized, and people have a good literacy also. They go to the internet, they Google their problem, and they come back and they ask very pertinent questions. And in some cases, you have the fake news and everything. Then I think it's a new world, it's a new way to look at research, and I think it's exciting, as a matter of fact.
Very exciting, certainly. So, how does your work relate specifically to science policy then? And how do you see yourself in the context of science policy, especially as a researcher?
I think we have a very important role in science policy. We are giving grants. Then if we say to the researchers, the only thing we want to see is how many papers you publish, do you got previous grant, do you supervise a student at master degree, PhD and postdoc? I mean, that's mainly what we're doing right now. Then that's what we will give, we will get. I mean, if I tell you I'm going to give you money if you do a lot of that, you're going to do a lot of that. And after that we say, the researchers should go to the public. They should talk a little more with the public. They should have an implication of the citizen, but we don't give any credit for that. And the university are doing the same. Then I think my job is to try to organize the way we do the evaluation of the fund to respect, the higher standard possible. I mean, we want to have the best research in the world, and I think that's what we're doing. But at the same time, to see what's happening, with the population. What do they need? I mean, can they talk with us? And I think our job is really to try to do this, the best, link between those two, I would say, challenge together.
Very cool. That's a very interesting perspective to take to bring everything together in a closed circle. Yeah. So I understand you've just participated in a panel about the granting agencies and their participatory science in Canada. What were the major kind of themes of this panel, and what were the major takeaway ideas, do you think?
To me, I mean, there was a lot of themes. I mean, it was really exciting, as a matter of fact, because, you had the CIHR, you had INSERC, you had, all those programs, social science, engineering, health, all together. And I think that was very interesting because intersectorial research is gaining popularity, and for a very good reason. If you have a health problem and you have a researchers working on a specific treatment, most of the time you will need an engineer, and you will need also someone from social science, because you will have to implement that in the population. And so far we're working together, but it's a little difficult. Now the agencies are talking together, and we try to have the same characterization of what pain should be in the future. And I was really excited to see that in the panel we have the same discourse. I mean, we're talking about the same challenge, we're heading at the same place, and I think it's good news. And that's mainly, there was a lot of things discussed, very interesting, but I think the good news is we seem to go in the same direction.
It was a very interesting panel. There was a lot of very good discussion around that. So.
Absolutely. I was really, you never know what you will get from a panel, but in this case, I think it was nice. It was, and also very good question from the attendees.
Yeah, very engaged. So with that then, what do you think is the kind of greatest value behind the Canadian Science and Policy Conference?
It's my first time at this meeting, and I was really excited to see that you have people from different backgrounds. And I think this is the best thing to do. I mean, if you want to talk about science policies, you need people from the politics, you need researchers, you need people from the population, from association, and that's exactly what we have here. And then people are going to different topics. They go to learn about or to hear about different topics. They exchange on different topics together. And this is probably the best way after that. Everyone is going back to his world, but with a new perspective. And I think that was very interesting. I will try to be back next year.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. I look forward to having you back then.
Thank you.
So with that then, kind of to wrap up, is there anywhere that our viewers would be able to go and learn a little bit more about your organization?
Absolutely. They can go on the internet and they can just look for FRQ. It's Fonds de Recherche du Québec. And easily you can find our website, and there is FRQS for science, for health, santé, and there is also nature and technology and social science, but all together it's quite easy to find. And we have all the information about the research we're doing, the way we're doing it, and also please send us an email or call us if you have any questions, specific question.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. This has been very great to hear about, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you very much.